Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories of Hope. Very excited to keep going with this new season with episode 3 of this season. Me and Chris have been talking with different members of our leadership team the last couple of weeks about our core values and about how we put them in motion, what they look like. And this week we are super excited to dive into Our Jobs Are Important with Rebecca Dennis, who is our Opportunity Village director. She's been on the podcast before, and we're super glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
You ready to do it again?
I am. Let's do this.
That's awesome. Do you have anything to say off the top just about this core value specifically, and kind of just before we let Rebecca kind of take it away?
It just brings memories back as to why this core value was made a core value. So I get excited about it because it's timeless. Yeah.
And it's going to be one reason. I haven't really told you this a ton, but one of the reasons that I wanted you to do this core value specifically is because, and we'll get into it, but the actual importance of the Opportunity Village staff and what each of their roles carry.
Right.
And just, I think you're the perfect person when it comes to our jobs being important. That you guys just have, in a sense, one of the biggest impacts of any role on our staff. And so I'd kind of love to let you dive into it a little bit here with what your opening thoughts are on this core value.
Yeah, our jobs are important.
Yeah.
I have this memorized, which is really funny to me, just over the past 2 years of being here, almost 2 years, because August 14th.
Wow, our first days are a day apart.
Are they really?
Mine's the 15th.
Wow.
So that's crazy. Anyway.
Fun coincidence.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's interesting how ingrained those things become over time. I think about them a lot, all of our core values. But when it comes to our jobs are important and thinking about them for OV specifically, it goes without saying, in ministry, our jobs are important because of Christ.
Right.
And they're rooted in Christ. Our goal is always going to be to seek him first above all things, to put him first and to glorify him in everything that we do. So our jobs carry weight in the sense because we understand the kingdom value we're bringing when we go about these things every day.
Right.
And so the significance of pouring into the women and to loving their children and to doing those things consistently, because I don't think that we can do them as, consistently enough. We have to be every day so intentional about it, that we're so focused and we're so willing to go above and beyond. We talk about exceed people's expectations. Yeah, right. It is about not just exceeding the expectations of the people who are in leadership above us, but exceeding the expectations of the people that we're serving, because they have not, these women who come into our program, they have not experienced people going above and beyond for them. Right. They've experienced hardship. They've experienced people letting them down. They've experienced people completely tearing them apart, tearing their families apart, degrading them, and to come into a place, into an atmosphere that we get to steward every day, where they know that they're loved and they know that they're valued, and they start to see and understand that there is a loving Father, a God who sees them for who they are and for who he's created them to be. The significance of that and the impact that we're having of that lasting change for them, I don't think can be understated. So our jobs carry that weight. Yes. I think when we go into it every single day with that mentality, and we're so aware and so cognizant of it, and we make it we keep it at the forefront of our mind, then we're not just going to do our jobs well. We're going to do them, to not just to the best of our ability, but to the best that we can do them for God and for his kingdom. Right.
I think one thing we've talked about a lot lately is the fact that specifically with the residents, the way that we carry ourselves on staff, the way that we're pursuing the Lord, the way that we view all the things that we're asked to do or that we're trusted with. If we're asking them to do this year-long program and completely reshape their life, if I can't answer emails on time or see see a need around the campus and help fill it, then ultimately, like, how can we ask the ladies to do the same
Right.
thing?
Right.
100%.
Exactly.
If we can't be on time, how can we demand they be on time?
Right.
They're looking to us.
Yeah, 100%. And there's just so many things within this and that's my favorite part about preparing for this podcast, about talking with you about it, is as soon as you start to like break down and take the time to look into each point of each core value, the conviction that you will either get, or like the affirmation of, oh, I'm doing this well,
Right.
pretty much takes care of itself, because
It
you'll see a
does.
point and be, I have not even kind of done this lately, or
Right.
I'm crushing this, or either or. So that's all super awesome. I also wanted to kind of talk about it especially with Rebecca being here, the importance of having the right people in their roles and the weight that each role actually can carry, because there was a gap in time to where you were in this position as OV director, because we were in between staff. And so now seeing Rebecca in her role and the staff taking charge of it, kind of what your point of view is through this role being so important.
It has been, it was such a great learning experience to just take it on for a year again, because until you've walked in those shoes, I mean, it is a challenging job because of so many people depending on you and coming into something and sacrificing, their freedoms for life change. But what Rebecca said was so perfectly said in why our jobs are important, because originally it was all about, helping everybody at the Dream Center, whether you're at the resale store or anywhere, understand, because I think sometimes, of course, not all the time, I don't want to characterize all the time.
Right, of course.
But sometimes there can be a mindset when you're working in what's considered to be ministry, that somehow you don't have to work as hard as you would in like a job that's more secular.
Right.
Which, if you're a Christian, we're all called to work for God, for Christ.
Right.
And it really is not, to me, regardless, no matter where you're working for Christ. However, I just feel like, and that's why I was like ready to jump up and celebrate what Rebecca was saying, it's even more important when it's a ministry, because of how people have come in who have been told certain things about Christianity, or maybe they've been hurt by the church or whatever, and they come in here and the last thing they want to do is go to church or hear about Jesus, because they're like, where's he been for me? My life is not reflective of this. They don't understand that he died for them and that he loves them. And so how important it is for us to line up with who we say we are in our work, in our relationship, in our integrity, everything in front of them, because they're watching us. And we know they're watching us because, when they first come in, they don't trust us. They don't know that we are who we say we are. This Christian thing, they're like, why are they so nice to me? They're waiting to find out, what do they want from me? And we are so focused on being an authentic follower of Jesus and just loving them, not beating them over the head with our Bible, or just loving them to the point that they see him in us. And Rebecca can tell you that when we have done that well, inevitably, they literally ask the question, like, what is it with you people? Like, what is it you have?
Right.
I want it. And that makes our jobs, like Rebecca said, even more important. So it's something that I've experienced before, where I've noticed in certain settings that sometimes working in ministry is like a pass to be lazy. And of course, I'm not categorizing groups of people, but
sure.
I've been in that situation.
Yeah, right.
And
Same.
we're not going to be that. We're not going to be that. It's just as important, more important. And it's not about, it's not important in the same kind of ways, maybe.
Right.
But it's truly important. And I just think that, especially with OV, because those ladies are looking for hope and they're looking for authentic Christ followers.
Yeah. That was one of the things that when I'm thinking through all these sub points too, and exceeding people's expectations, that that's really cool. Cause I think we've talked about this before. I think we talked about it in the first episode maybe, but when we were trying to figure out the director role, and me, you, and Sarah were sitting in the conference room, and you were like, Rebecca rewrote the whole program and she doesn't want to be the director, and I feel confused. And then that day, me and Sarah were like, you need to ask her again, because if she just rewrote the whole program, and that's just like a great example of exceeding people's expectations of with the role that you were in at the time and with all the transition, it was like you didn't have to rewrite the whole program just on a whim. And then that was the thing that stuck out of, okay, well, I think we found the right person.
Absolutely found the right person.
Yeah.
Tremendous. I had so much peace with that. And Rebecca and I've had conversations about this, but at the Dream Center, like, I feel like God calls different people into different roles, and sometimes it's out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, right.
But that's beside the point. Truly, it's beside the point, because when he calls that person, he equips them in the midst of like, oh my gosh, I've never been a director of a program like this. But if he calls you into that, he's going to fully equip you.
Yes.
And that's what happened to me.
Right.
You know, being called in my job, I'm like, oh my goodness, you've got the wrong person. You know what? And he's like, nope, I've got the right person. You just need to be trusting me. And I knew once Rebecca said, you know, I'm willing to explore that now, I knew she was the person. So without any doubt whatsoever, I think it was convincing her that she was the person.
Yeah, it was.
Was more than, but she knows. I mean, because God has just faithfully shown us that.
Yeah, right.
And I'm very grateful, because it takes a special understanding of the core values to lead a team through that, because you can get discouraged when somebody makes a bad decision or decides not to finish the program, or you know, it takes a special understanding to let them walk through their own stuff until they're ready.
Yeah.
You can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves.
Exactly.
And that's what she's leading. And that's a tough place to be, because sometimes you just want it for them.
It's true.
That is very true.
I think one of the things I'd love to segue into is the first sub point is owning a problem or opportunity through resolution, and kind of what that looks like for you on a daily basis. But also, I think if you wanted to start of when you get to the point of looking at the program and being like, I think these things can be better. And right now, Chris doesn't have the time, and there's nobody in this position to kind of start looking at those things. Like, what helped you kind of start to move that train along, and how that point of the core value you kind of.
I have to give a lot of credit to our team in general. I mean, Laura, and at the time when Michelle was here, Laura, Michelle, myself, just sitting down and having conversations that were fruitful, because you know, we recognized that there was room for improvement when it came to being able to really measure where the ladies were.
Yeah, right.
And that was the heart behind it. It was, yes, we see some progress, but we really don't have a way to actually keep track of this in a way that is going to let them see a visual representation of their progress. Right. We're telling them, and we see some of it, you know, from the outside looking in, we're seeing these things progress, but there's no way to actually, there's no measurable, there's no variable that we can use, no standard of measurement that we're giving them to say, this is what the expectation is, and this is what we're going to do to work our way to this place. And from that came these conversations of creating modules and creating very specific parameters for them to meet. So that they were finally, when they were setting goals, they understood okay, if I make it to this step, then I know the next thing that I have to do is going to be this. And so, you know, we as a team, I don't take full credit for that at all, because it was really a group effort of sitting down. I might have been the one to type it up and sit down and kind of categorize it and organize it. But it came from a very unified heart and wanting to let these ladies in on their own progress and let them see that it was attainable and it is something that they can get to. And it is there is a very real progression that's happening. With that heart, we sat down and hashed out these modules and looked at every specific wellness area that they were going through at the time. So behavioral, spiritual, physical, financial, job readiness, volunteerism. What does that look like?
Right.
What do they actually need to be working towards in order to have met the criteria that we're going to set for them? And so with that, we created a whole outline from the first month to, we were going to do 6 months. We've gone back to 4. And you learn as you go,
right.
because it's not easy. It's not when you're dealing with real people with very real brokenness who, after 4 months into the program get very, they're ready to go work.
Right.
And honestly, they really need to get out there and be able to start achieving things. They need to be able to feel like the things that they've invested in here and all of these different areas that they're working hard to progress in, they're actually going to see the fruit of that in their daily lives when they go out into the real world. And oh, by the way, we trust you enough to do these things now.
Absolutely.
And so they need to feel that.
Yeah.
And so we've learned, okay, well, we can't do 6 months, so we're going to go back to 4.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's been a lot of progress that's been made and a lot of things that we've gone back to the drawing board. And I think we're finally getting to a place where everything is getting concrete.
Right.
Because I think for us, we've recognized also that consistency is so important.
Yeah.
And as a team, being as consistent as possible with them, whether that's how we lay out discipline, whether that's how we communicate with them, being united in mind and thought. And that doesn't necessarily go with that core value,
Right.
but it just goes to show
100%.
all of our core values are so integrated into the culture that we've created here that you'll pull one out when it's necessary, or it comes to your mind when something is hard and you're dealing with a lot of broken people.
Right.
And, you pull it out of this toolbox that you have that helps get you through. But when I think about how far we've come and how much it's going to impact these women, this next group coming in as we open up applications and we start interviewing for this next round, I'm excited because I think we're finally going to get to see it streamlined. This whole program is going to be in a much better place because of the dedication of the team that we have, of the people who have been here and who have been consistent and who do want what's best for these women and who do recognize that our jobs are important. But part of that is consistency. And so consistency in our core values and living that out every day with the women, consistency in the way that we uphold the guidelines in our program and the way that we've structured them, and consistency in the way that we approach situations in discipline and loving them and approaching difficult conversations, just like when we unfortunately sometimes have to let people go, but being consistent. Because if someone leaves this program, obviously it's such a hard thing to watch happen because you want it for them. Right. You want them to experience life change in Christ in such a way that when they leave this place, whether it's premature or they've made it all the way to graduation, that their life has been touched by God and there's been so many seeds that have been planted that what grows after this place is far greater than what we're doing here in a nutshell.
100%.
Because the Lord will water those seeds. The Lord will make those things grow over time. And you want that. You want it to be experienced while they're here. And we do, and we get glimpses of that, and that's what keeps us going. Right. And that's what helps us see how important our jobs really are. But I think, over time, when you've watched people go, when you've watched them struggle and you see that the consistency aspect of how we approach these things, the way that we talk to them, the way that we let them go is just as important as when we welcome them in.
100%. And many times even those people come back, they'll call us. Yeah. Because regardless of whether they made that decision that ended their time here, they never doubted that we cared about them.
Right.
So
I want them, when they leave, one way or the other, to have taken something from this place that benefited them more than harmed them, because they've dealt with enough harm. They've dealt with enough negativity and brokenness and hardship that I don't want to add to that. And I really, at the heart of it, know that we don't, because we are we are so intentional about loving them well. And even if they don't feel that in the moment,
Right.
eventually they do come back. Like you're saying,
Right.
they have a moment.
Eventually.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
At some point, they have that moment where it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really did want what was best for me.
Yeah, right.
And what's best for them is Jesus. It always will be. He is the prize.
Yes.
And honing in on that, it's just so important. But we have to live it out.
You have to.
Yeah.
As we were sitting here talking too, I'm thinking about, so Titus 2:7-8 is the verse that we have connected to this core value of in everything. Set them an example by doing good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech to those who oppose you, so they may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about you. And as you guys were talking, I'm like, I felt this core value when you connect it. If you were to put the ladies in the program into this verse of teaching them of being showing integrity and seriousness and soundness of speech. And what we just said of so that they may, ashamed is a harsh word, but also just like we had a situation about a month ago where one of the residents who we had to let go, unfortunately, called back and asked for Chris. And as soon as she heard your voice, she just started like boo-hooing and was like, I'm sorry about the things that I said and about the way that I left. And in that same situation, there were also some things that were said to where I don't know that ashamed is the right word,
Right.
but I think that verse can come back to show that like when we do the things that we know we're supposed to do,
Right.
Yeah.
and we show integrity and seriousness and soundness of speech,
Right.
that those things that people will try to say about us, if we are doing it with a pure heart and clean hands,
Right.
Right.
like it's that those words are not going to go void ultimately.
Right.
That's right. And that core value helps me, or that point helps me, because, sometimes in those moments they get angry.
Yeah.
They get frustrated.
Yeah.
And like in that situation, blast us on social media or give us a really bad review and say that we're terrible. And I think she had done that.
Yeah.
But when she called and we said, man, we miss you and we love you, I think she just couldn't believe it. And she just cried.
Right.
She said, I'm sorry. I know you do. But it's not hard for us to do that because we do love her.
Right. So
And we
much.
do miss her. And we do know
Yes.
she was just angry.
Yeah.
And so you can't worry that someone is saying that about you, because you know with integrity that you have given her your very best and it'll come around, and you just can't take it personally.
Right.
And I wasn't always there.
Yeah,
I used to
right.
take it really personally, and now I just don't. It's not my journey.
Yeah. Right. And I think too that verse also is very helpful to give you a heart check of, am I following this core value, so that like I can be like, haha, I did I followed the core value and did the right thing.
Right.
Right.
So you can, or like, are you actually, it's just very helpful for your heart to
Right.
posture to be like,
And just not be offended.
yeah, right.
Right.
Just to be unoffended
Yes.
because someone's hurting. And, maybe they're saying some things, but if you know that you have honored them, stop being offended. Or,
That's so true. I have this mentality with our team. I give everyone a small duck when they come on our team.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, this is new for everyone. But my husband used to tell me all the time, especially when I first started and as a resident success manager, you're going to have to let it be water off a duck's back. You're just going to have to let it go.
Yeah, right.
And know that you did your best, because when you first start and when you first step into OV,
hurts your feelings.
you really want so bad for them to do what's required in the program to make it.
Right.
You're like, just do it. I just want you to do it. Because you know that they're capable, and you know that they have it in them. And they have all the things that God's placed in them that they need to make it there, and you want it so bad. But there are moments where you're sitting across from them, and you'll hear them say things that you just don't expect to come from someone, and you're like, okay, or you have to let someone go, and they get really mad in that space. And with all due respect to everyone we've ever, it is a hard thing to hear.
Yeah, right.
Nobody wants to hear that this is the end of the road. This is the part where we're sorry, but you're going to have to leave. And it is difficult. And in those moments you get discouraged, and it's like, oh my gosh, did I do everything that I could? Did I do what was necessary? Did I show Jesus the best way that I could show him? Did I love them well? And the enemy would have us believe that we fell short.
Right.
And you get to a point, and by the grace of God, you get to this place where He opens your eyes to see it has very little to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
It has everything to do with Him. And the Lord has been so good in this season of my life and stepping into this role of taking the pressure off of me
Mm-hmm.
and saying, no, I just actually need you to be obedient where you are. I just need you to be faithful where you are and let me do the rest, because you're not the change agent in this place.
Right.
100%.
I am.
Yeah.
You're carrying me. You're carrying the love that I have for these women, and you're pouring it out every day. That's all I really want you to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're doing that, and as long as you're being obedient, you don't have to worry about anything else. So everything else is literally water off a duck's back.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have these little plastic ducks that I give each member of our team as they
That's
come
so
on. I
good.
gave Tandy hers yesterday. And that's been the mentality of, yes, our jobs are important and it does carry weight.
Right.
And that's not to be dismissive of that, because it is very real. The hard work that we're trying to get these women to do, to see that God really does want to not just love them, but transform their lives and make it better than it ever could be. The enemy has still stolen, killed, and destroyed a lot for them in their lives, whether it be the actions of other people or things that they chose for themselves.
Right.
But God, Jesus has come that they may have life more abundantly.
Yes.
And that truth is there, and it's within grasp for them, and we want it for them. And even in the hard seasons that we have with these ladies, the moments that are difficult, when we let it roll off our back, we are so much more capable of loving them well and continuing to do that.
Right.
Just like Chris said, when we're not taking offense and we're letting it go. Because if I hold on to things and I let that get rooted, I can become bitter and resentful very quickly.
Right.
And we can't afford to do that in the roles that we're in. We can't afford to get to a place where we are resentful of these women for needing the very thing that we carry within us. The only hope that they have for a future that is fruitful and lasting, and will have an eternal impact. And I think that mindset of keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus, because I feel like even with our core values, everything is almost like a building block off of one another. We say Jesus first. That is the first foundation to what we do here.
God,
You know, people matter, and then our jobs are important. Those two things first. If I love Jesus well, it's just like that commandment that He gave to us. You know, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. Matthew 22:37. But the other commandment is like it: love your neighbor as yourself.
Exactly.
Love people.
Right.
So if I'm doing those two things and I'm loving these women well, I can't afford to be in a place where I'm resentful and irritated. Okay, it's easy to get offended. It's harder to just let it go and love well.
Yeah.
But it's what we're called to do. It's what I really feel like is so important for our team to do every day, because otherwise I'm not living Jesus first.
Yeah, right.
If I'm living from a place of offense.
Yes.
And loving them anyway, you know, because sometimes they're like, man, these people act like they just love me and love me, but how much can I do to them? Or what can I say? And they're going to kick me to the curb. They're not going to love me anymore. And we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So, and
it's almost a test.
It's an opportunity.
Right.
It's an opportunity to say, it's unconditional. We're going to love you regardless.
Yeah.
And I think it is like they're testing to see what's it going to take for them to say, you're not good enough.
Everybody in the past has done that.
Mhm.
You know, I've pushed someone too far before,
Right.
and they've walked out on me.
Right.
Man.
How much farther can I?
Right.
I push the envelope.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I think would be really cool to talk about as well is, so we also have adjusted the core values for the ladies as a part of their program, to where we know in their situation, you know, the first 4 months that they can't have a job, so that's going to look a little bit different. And so, what did that kind of look like as we created those for the ladies and for the program to fit alongside what we focus on?
Well, you know, when we created them, we didn't create them for the ladies. We just created them for our team. And one thing that was super important to us, you're not going to find these on our website. You're not going to find these on our social media. We did not do this for anybody but ourselves.
Right.
And we were just trying to hold ourselves accountable, help each other, because as a family of believers, we care about each other, then we're supposed to help each other. And it doesn't mean we're always going to get them right, but we wanted to be like, okay, this is what we're going to follow. And if I'm not doing it, hold me accountable. If you're not doing it, I'll hold you accountable. It was completely internal. But our residents, when we first rolled them out, heard us talking about them. They heard us talking about reading them. They heard us reading them. They came to us and they said, we want to do the core values. Right. And we want to be a part of this. We want our lives to look like this. And so we're like, okay, well, let's look at them. So we just looked at them and kind of modified them slightly to be relevant to their current situation, because they asked for it.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that wasn't us, that was them. And ever since then, we've incorporated it. And one thing that I think is worth mentioning is, yes, we are a faith-based program, but anybody can come into our program regardless of what they believe. We're not going to force them to be a Christian. Right. We're not going to force them to believe the core values. But we do let them know, you're going to hear that from us. That's why I'm here. I could not do this if the Lord wasn't, why? I wouldn't be here. So you have to know that going in. But if you make the decision that you're not going to follow him, that's on you. I mean, we can't make you. Yeah. But it's interesting because they hear those every day and they see it becomes undeniable before them, because they're witnessing people seeking to follow them every day, and it spills over. So it's just been a really cool thing to see, even in our resale stores. Everybody that gets hired for our resale stores may not be a Christian, but we tell them up front, you're going to hear us read our core values, and as long as you can deal with that, and so the rest is up to the Lord, and he takes care. So it's not like we're just we're letting the Holy Spirit do what he does, and we're just doing what he tells us to do. Yeah,
it's as you were saying about the resale stores too, it's cool to think about now that the coffee house is open.
Yep.
The fact that we now get to think about as a staff of we have people on our team where like making coffee and smiling and being nice is now like a crucial part of what we get to do, what they get, and what's a part of this organization and funding and all the things. And so it's cool to see the horizon of what we get to be a part of just keep growing bigger and bigger. And
if you want to be a part of it, you have to agree that you're going to do your level best to follow these core values to the best of your ability. And if you're not willing to do that, you're not called to be on this team. And that's okay.
Right, 100%.
And it really helps you measure, like, who does need to be on this team. Yeah. Because if someone can't commit to, again, you're not going to be perfect. We all fall short. But trying and being authentic. And that's pretty clear. If somebody is not willing to do that, then it's a clear indicator that they're in the wrong place.
Yeah, right. Wild. Okay, so as we get close to the end of our time, are there any like final big things about this core value specifically that you thought about before or that you're thinking now that would be, in your opinion, very like the most helpful thing you could leave with anybody listening to this episode?
I think it's just the reality that regardless of whether you're in ministry or you're working a secular position, because before coming in here, I was in a secular job where living out the love that I had for Christ and what I did more so than what I could say because it was censored as I had to be was important to me. And so coming into a job where, and something that I love about being here at the Dream Center is that there's such a continuity, and it doesn't matter what department you're in, doesn't matter what team, as a team as a whole, as the entirety of the Dream Center, whether you're at the resale store, or you're at Higher Ground, or you're here on the main campus, there's such a continuity because of those core values. And because we are living them out every day, we're reading them at every meeting that we have. And I can't express the amazement that I have that over the past few years of reading them, at every meeting that we have, how ingrained it has become in my life that, I think about them daily.
Me too.
When I'm in conversation with someone, when I'm having a hard conversation with the ladies and I'm having to call them out on something that it's speaking the truth in love, but they need to hear it. But I get to go back to that core value. I get to pull that from that and say, but this is what we say and this is what we need to do.
Right.
And to pull that into my own life and being like, am I doing this?
Right.
Can I say this to someone else if I'm not doing it, if I'm not doing my best in this area?
Yeah.
So to have this atmosphere be a place where it's an environment where we're all being refined every day. In our own personal relationships with Jesus, yes, but even in the atmosphere that we have here at work.
That's awesome.
That's such a gift. You just don't find that
You don't.
everywhere else. I haven't worked at a job before and I haven't been a part of other ministries where I've seen that just be such an integral part of the culture here or in the space that they're in and doing ministry. It has impacted me in such a way. And with our jobs are important, just keeping that at the forefront of your mind.
Yeah.
And being aware that wherever you are, doesn't matter where. Yeah, I have the gift of being here in this place that fosters that truth every day. All of those truths: Jesus first, people matter, our jobs are important, our team matters, great things never come easily. All of those things. Yeah. But even if you don't have that, the Bible, God's word, makes things very clear for us.
Right, it's true.
It gives us a blueprint for how to live. Yeah. And so taking that truth, taking God's word, taking his truth and living it out every day, and understanding that there is a real eternal impact that we're leaving behind.
Yes, correct.
That our jobs, whatever they are important because we are leaving a mark on his kingdom. We are expanding it and advancing it for his glory and for the good of other people, not just for ourselves, because I think we can get hung up on that really quickly. Our jobs are important. I'm important.
Yeah, right.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not about us. At the end of the day, it is about Jesus. It is about God's kingdom.
Yes.
It is about spreading the love and the gospel to whoever we're around. And I can't stress enough how much being in this place and having that impressed upon me every day in such a really beautiful way.
Right.
Not like shoved in my face, but really embraced. You're embraced by that when you walk in here. But having that every day, how much it has encouraged me in my daily walk with Jesus outside of these walls to live like that even more than I do here out there.
Right.
Because it's so important. My job is important, but my life is important and how I'm living it is important.
Sheesh.
And so it's really rolled into everything that I do now.
Yeah, right.
My motherhood is important. Yeah. My relationship with my husband is important.
Yes.
All of these things, it's just, I feel like impacted it on such a great level that can I say these things in every area of my life, not just in my job.
Yes.
Absolutely. And it reminds me, like our residents, we tell them when you're in the first 16 weeks, this program is your job.
Yeah. Right.
If you're a stay-at-home mom and you're thinking to yourself, what impact am I making? Your job is that. That is your job.
Correct.
And your kingdom impact is immeasurable. I remember being a stay-at-home mom, and I'm like, what am I doing? And I said, man, my mission field is looking at me right now. Right. And it's an important job. So it's exactly echoing what Rebecca's saying, whether you're, working in an office or you're a teacher or you're a homemaker with kids or whatever, that is your job. And all of it is important. And we tell the ladies to treat this as your job.
Yeah.
Give it your very best. And it's preparing them for that. And I think, too, if someone doesn't have, if you have an organization or a company and you don't have core values, I would strongly encourage you to get them. Yeah. If you work for a place that doesn't have them, make your own. Right. Because if we read our core values, they're applicable to our relationships, with our children, with our spouses, with our girlfriend or boyfriend, with our employer. I mean, it's relevant. Yeah. And I think that if we didn't have them here, goodness knows, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Because it's what keeps me centered.
Yeah.
And it keeps us all kind of united. And why are we here again? You know, we can go to the core values, and it's just a reminder. Let's stay focused on what we're doing, and what's important.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that, I mean, and even just from a practical sense, it also just helps you give yourself something to filter anything that comes your way through.
True.
Absolutely.
Of like, I mean, all three of us know, like, there's a ton on our plates, and so if something new comes up, I look at the core values and I'm like, okay,
Yeah, I don't see where this applies to any
I
of
don't
this.
see how this is going to filter in, or like, is this going to make me late to other things,
Right.
or is this going to like make me want to like have some heated conflict that I'm going to have to,
Right.
you know, anything like that, then it's just not worth it, and it just helps you show and like be grounded more and more in what you're doing and what's actually important for your role, which is I'm so thankful for. So I was thinking about like, how do I wrap this up, because and Chris has seen me the most lately. I've been like super emotional the last few weeks for some reason about all the things that are happening. And I'm sitting here feeling so grateful that we get to even have these conversations. And like, especially this, I'm like, this is an important part of my job specifically, is this podcast and getting to have these conversations. And I'm sitting here like, this is wild that we get to do all these things with.
I'm just expectant. You know, we don't have all the answers, even with our core values. Yeah. We don't have all the answers, and we came up with those just like, Lord, what really from our biggest challenges.
Yeah, right.
Like, guys, we're going to be set apart, and we're going to make sure that our jobs are important. And so you're right. I just think that God is doing something, and we're just expectant, and all we have to do is daily acts of obedience. Yeah. You know, the small daily acts of obedience lead to great moves of God.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're expectant for. And all the results are up to Him, not us.
Exactly.
So
awesome.
That's
Well,
so good.
if y'all are listening or watching, Chris said we haven't posted these before, but we are now. This core value will be at the end of the episode on YouTube on a graphic, and then also in the description on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You guys can see this core value, all the subpoints, and that'll be the same for every episode. Rebecca, thank you for doing this and for being a part of our
Thank you
team.
for
And
having me.
everything you said was so helpful
yes,
and so encouraging.
I'm pumped. It's great. It's
I
so
love
great.
it.
I'm
I
like,
love it.
yes, you're so right.
That's awesome. So thank
and
you.
I love the
again.
duck thing. I didn't even know that.
No,
I love
same.
it.
I had no
I
idea.
knew he had told you that, but I didn't know you decided, let's do the ducks.
Well, that's
You
amazing.
can find those things
Little
everywhere
tiny
too.
ducks.
Perfect.
Everywhere.
Five Below, a whole pack of
Yeah.
100.
Amazing.
Yeah, everyone gets their own
Like the
favorite
little
color.
mini
It's
ones,
great. They're
that's
so
good.
tiny.
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
cute.
It's like the mini Jesuses that everybody leaves all over the place.
Exactly.
That's
But
amazing.
ducks.
That's awesome. Well, I love that. But thank you again. And thank you all for listening. And we'll see you next week on the next episode.